Then he was going to do another warm-up set before his team was just like, no. Just go for the PR. Just hit it, dude. You can do it. And he just does it.
But we now have a verified, equipped 900-pound squat from a high schooler. Kind of got to see it to believe it.
Do we have to cover everything through the lens of, but North Korea isn't there and who knows what it would have been if they were? Are we at that point?
That's a great question, Phil. I think... Welcome to Strength Weekly, the weekly internet video show. Is TV even still alive? I don't know. That brings you everything you need to know from around the barbell game. I am David Thomas Tao, joined by Phil. I'm so wide, I walk sideways through doors due to all the lat pull downs, Bleckman, and we are bringing you the 4 biggest stories from around the barbell game this week. Phil, any of these excite you? Just yes or no, please. Blink twice if you're being held hostage.
Yes. I've blinked like 6 times.
You blinked like 6 times. Okay. You know what? It's fine. We need a little recording delay. It's fine. We are not being held against our will, but we are excited to bring you some big lifts this week. Let's get to the tail of the tape, the rundown, our run of show. John Haack, one of the top-ranked powerlifters in the world by just about every metric, pulls a deadlift PR of 420 kilograms in training. We talk about his journey toward doing the once thought impossible 2,400-pound powerlifting total as a non-super heavyweight. In other news, a high school senior squats 900 pounds equipped. Squeeze me! The Rogue Invitational, the first time that competition is taking place outside of the United States, will feature strong women for the first time. We talk about that competition later this year, what it means, and the insane and complex prize package. And finally, a mysterious weightlifter from North Korea sets 3 world records at the last qualifying event before the Paris Olympics, but will not be competing in Paris. Phil, of these 4 stories, which are you thinking will capture our readers' hearts and minds the most?
I'm a sucker that strong woman is getting the nod at the Rogue Invitational for the first time in Aberdeen, Scotland. That's where my head's at.
More than just the nod, they're getting the bag. We're going to talk about prize payouts, and I'm actually especially excited about that because guess what? Spoiler alert, the strong women and strong men, same prize package from Rogue. Big deal here. All right, Phil. John Haack. Phil, you've been writing about strength sports for what, 5 years? 5-ish years?
Yeah, about 5, yeah. Wow, yeah.
And for how many of those years has John Haack been just about the best powerlifter in the world?
All of them. Every single one of them. Like, every time this dude is pushing the numbers beyond where we're like, that's not possible, and then he does it. And then, you watch his training videos, and everything he does is super casual, and you're like, yeah, there's no way he's going to do it. And you just like, yep, he's like, I know these numbers. This is the number for this is the number for that. I'll try and hit that. He's calling his shot for a 2,400 powerlifting total at the WRPF Ghost Clash 3. That's like a notorious event at this point for like people going to crush records if they have any targets. And it would be a shocker if he doesn't score the total that he's going for, even though it seems obscene.
All right, Phil. First off, I'm just going to give a quick shout out to John Haack for keeping strength sports journalists, writers, and video pundits like us in a job. Thank you, John, for single-handedly putting the entire industry and our careers on your back in so many ways.
Yeah, so he locked out a 420 kilogram PR in training less than a month before the Ghost Clash 3. Now, we got to see what his warm-up up to that point looks like, a cool behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to achieve like the best powerlifter in the game in his weight class, just hitting his PR in training and seeing the build up to that. So very cool if you're an insider that loves like seeing how powerlifters at the top of their sport, at the top of the game, actually get there. So he did some warm-up sets of 75 kilograms, 175 kilograms, 275 kilograms, 325 kilograms. We're getting into where people's numbers are at the top tier. Yeah. He had 375 kilograms. Then he was going to do another warm-up set before his team was just like, no. Just go for the PR. Just hit it, dude. You can do it. And he just does it. And like, for anybody who has like ever trained with training partners where they're just like, yeah, you're actually slowing yourself down. Just go for the big number. I mean, if you're the best powerlifter in the world, and then you have training partners that are like, dude, you can just do it. Why are you getting in your own way? I found that resonant for me as somebody who often gets in his own way, to see that even the top tier lifters, even though they're doing it with ridiculous weights, like this is not a fathomable lift by any metric for somebody who's not John Haack, but to see that at the top tier too, kind of inspiring almost in a weird way, it was kind of cool.
I can just imagine like the old Shia LaBeouf gif, that meme from years ago. Do it,
Do it,
do it,
do it,
do it. Just having
Make
that in
your
front of you,
dreams
right in your
come
line of
true.
vision. I'd just be that training partner doing it. In fact, I'd be such an annoying training partner. I would say, hey, I'm not going to stop being annoying until you PR. That might be the optimal motivation that is needed. Absolutely. What is Haack going to have to do, and what is he planning on doing specifically by a breakdown of lifts to hit the 2,400-pound total, which, by the way, in his weight category would be history making?
Yes, it unprecedented up into this point. And fortunately for us, Haack, who's been putting all of these strength sports journalists on his back for years, as you said, actually did give us the breakdown of the targets that he expects to hit at the Ghost Clash. So for the squat, his target is 365.5 kilos. For the bench press, 268 kilos. Of course, Sean Haack, the best bench presser in the world, probably. For the deadlift, he's going to hit 410. Now, that's after he's hit both a squat and a deadlift. We have seen him be able to lock out 10 kilograms more than that in training. So obviously, once he makes weight, he's expecting to be able to hit 410. That would be remarkable. And that would total him to 1,043.5 kilos or 2,400 pounds.
There's just not much more to say. It might happen. Very good chance it'll happen. Looking forward to it, and we'll cover it here on Strength Weekly. Like, sometimes I have like cheeky little things to say at the end of segments. I don't when it comes to John Haack. Just, John, like, Godspeed. Do your thing.
Praise
man.
be. Praise be.
Well, we have talked about one of the current best powerlifters in the world who's worn that crown for a number of years. Let's talk about up and coming powerlifter. Phil, when I was in high school, at the high school weight room, in the high school weight room, people would, maybe use a little bit of hyperbole when it came to big lifts. They would say, "Oh, my cousin at a different school just squatted this much, did this much, oh, he totally did this much." Now, these weren't necessarily the competition standard, and a lot of these numbers were inflated a little bit. Someone's cousin squatted 450 pounds. That's pretty cool for them. You know what I mean? Getting recruited to go D1. Maybe. But we now have a verified, equipped 900-pound squat from a high schooler. Kind of got to see it to believe it. Phil, what's going on here?
Yeah, so Dwayne Coleman of Slidell, Louisiana. He's a high school student. This article about him squatting 900 pounds, 408 kilos, went viral. Everyone covered it. Just the idea that a high school student was able to lock this weight out, equipped, of course, okay, sure, whatever. 900 pounds on this kid's back? Dude, he's in high. When I was in high school, I didn't know who I was. I'm still trying to find my way in the world. This dude's just yep, put 900 pounds on my back, let's squat it. So let's give a quick rundown of his day. He bench pressed 500 pounds, and then he deadlifted 630 pounds after he squat 900 pounds, Louisiana state records, all of this good stuff. For reference, he weighed 462 pounds, so he's super heavyweight as a high school student, 209.5 kilos of body weight, lifting 408 kilos of body weight. Just how often are we going to see this kind of athlete come around at that age and pull off something like this on camera? Cool thing about it, if anybody gets the luxury to watch this video that was filmed, his 900-pound squat was a fourth lift. It was an additional lift outside of the competition that is often done, that we see at elite competitions as well, for people who want to take shots at world records.
Yeah, it's really just, it's not something that would count necessarily towards your total on the day, because that wouldn't be fair, but it's but you could still, so sometimes people will squat it or deadlift it or bench press it, and it won't count toward their total, but it'll get them a record, right? It's just to do it with, depending on the federation, depending on the competition. I actually like that about powerlifting. I think it's kind of cool. You don't see that in weightlifting. You don't really see a fourth clean and jerk attempt. You know what I mean? When it comes to super heavyweight powerlifters to watch for the next generation, add one to the whiteboard.
Put Dwayne Coleman on the list. I mean, that was one of the things that was still up in the air, is is he going to continue as a competitive powerlifter after he leaves high school? One caveat to note here, so his squat, of course, breaks the Louisiana high school records. Who knows what those are? But we do know that he cracked it by 185 pounds. That's how much he exceeded the record by. When we talking top elite powerlifters going for world records, they may chip a world record. Sometimes you see the best of the best. They can tack on 10 pounds as the upper echelon of
and that's something that would make Strength Weekly. That's a thing that we report on.
That's like unbelievable. That would be like the talk of the town for all of the world of powerlifting if something like that happens. Like we've seen something like Agata Sitko, who has just been crushing recently, has like been sort of in that space, like hitting 6 pounds over or whatever, and we're just like mind boggled by that. Dwayne Coleman crushed it by 185 pounds. I hope he stays in the game because man, he would be fun to cover.
Well, let's move on and talk about another strength sport. It's enough powerlifting for the day. No more powerlifting today because we're going to talk about strongman, strongwoman, specifically strongwoman. Now, the 2024 Rogue Invitational happening later this year is taking place outside of the United States for the first ever time, taking place in Scotland. Exciting stuff. I actually applaud that move. It's an international sport. Take a big competition international. I'm a fan of that. Look, the Rogue Invitational, CrossFit has been a big part of that. Strongman in recent years has become a big part of that. It's become one of the biggest strongman competitions of the year. They're adding strongwoman this year. And what I love is that the prize package that's been announced for the strongwoman competitors is the same as has been announced for the strongman competitors. Phil, you cover strongman, strongwoman, maybe more than just about anyone else in the world. What are the implications for the sport based on this announcement?
This is probably the biggest level up for strong women that I can recall in recent memory, because the Rogue Invitational has been the highest prize purse for strongmen for the past couple of years. More than World's Strongest Man, more than Arnold Classic. Like, it has been Rogue Invitational as the top prize purse. Now, even if it may not have the same historic prestige as something like the World's Strongest Man, you get the top talent bringing their A game because the purse is the highest at the Rogue. So in the past couple of years, we've seen Alexei Novikov win it. We've seen Martins Lisis win it. We've seen Mitchell Hooper win it. I mean, these are all former World's Strongest Man competitors. Everybody's bringing their A game. Tom Stoltman was a runner-up to Lisis. He's always on the podium as well. He's a 2-time World's Strongest Man. Like, you see the best of the best bring their best because the prize purse incentivizes them to do so. And to see the strong women getting added, and not only added, but added at an equivalent prize purse as the men, which have been in road competition for the past couple of years now. This is a significant level up for strong women competition. By scales of magnitude, the largest prize purse for strong women ever.
That we know of, ever.
That we know of, yeah. This is a six-figure plus prize purse. At the time that we're talking about this, it's already at $117,000. Like, that will increase because of the complexities of how they manage the prize purse. It includes like a percentage of ticket sales and a percentage of merch sales, and like, but the initial investment that Rogue puts in of $1 million. There's a bunch of different factors that go into calculating what the prize pool is. But the strong men and the strong women will get the same percentage, and the same percentage broken down across down the leaderboard from first all the way to 10th. It's an invitational tournament, so it'll be 10 athletes on both for the strong women and the strong men, unless they announce some changes in addition to that. But you'll have 10 strong women competing for the largest prize purse. First place will get 6 figures. As far as we know, it's the first time a 6-figure prize purse has ever happened for strong women. That is a huge deal. It is setting the standard for the sport going forward.
And I just want to read that the prize pool for the Rogue Invitational, now all athlete prizes come out of this, right? So when I talk about the prize pool, what I'm about to describe, strongman prizes, strongwoman prizes, CrossFit prizes, right? There's a prize pool. So this is not to say like, I'm going to read that, a number per ticket sold, right? That's not necessarily just going to the strong woman competitors. That's going to the prize pool from which all of the prizes come. But basically we say that right now, as of this reporting, whoever wins the 2024 Rogue Strong Woman Invitational will get about $117,000, a little over. That is likely to increase because the Rogue prize pool gets added to based on the following metrics. All right, it's $1 million cash investment from Rogue, $275,000 of Bitcoin at $35,000 a coin, a bit higher than that right now, which is subject to change in value as the competition nears. $5 per attendee ticket sold, 10% of online registration fees, 10% of registration fees for the community event, $5 for every Rogue Invitational t-shirt sold, $5 for every pair of Go Ruck Ballistic trainers sold through RogueFitness.com. Rogue is very transparent about where the money for the prize pool is coming from. I like that. It's cool that we get to see it increase. And like, if you buy a t-shirt, right, you know that $5 of that is going toward this prize pool and eventually making its way to the athlete's pockets. It's kind of neat. You register for the online qualifier. You register for the community event. You know, part of your fee is going toward these athletes, and you know exactly how much of it is going toward these athletes, which is really neat. I got to be honest. I sort of wish more competitions did that. They told you, hey, if you bought merch, here's exactly how much is going to the athletes, right? I would welcome that transparency for most competitions. That's just me.
To add on to that, we are recording this. It is April, the first week of April that you're seeing this. This contest is not until November. So all of these registration fees, however much merch is sold, like it is fully expected that the prize pool will increase even further than this. The fact that it's already over six figures for the top strong women athlete at this time is remarkable. So like it will only get bigger. This is the paradigm now.
All right, let's move on to another important milestone in women's strength sports, and that's at the IWF World Cup. The 2024 IWF World Cup is the last qualifying event before the Paris Olympics, so big qualification implications for a lot of top athletes in the sport of weightlifting. And remember, weightlifting in the Paris Olympics has fewer spots than we have seen in decades when it comes to athletes competing, right? There aren't that many slots available. Countries cannot send 8 men and 8 women to the Olympics this year. It ain't happening because there aren't that many Olympic spots, there aren't that many Olympic bodyweight categories. I just want to give that as context. One team that will not be at the Paris Olympics is North Korea. We'll get to that in a second. Something important happened in the lightest bodyweight session of the IWF World Cup. Weightlifter Won Hyun Sim of North Korea set 3 world records in the 45 kilo weight category. It's also not an Olympic weight category, just to be clear. It starts at 49 kilos. 3 world records. And she continues her run as the only athlete in that bodyweight category to ever set senior world records. Phil, how'd she do on the day?
So let's break it down. For the snatch, she hit 87 kilograms, world record. For the clean and jerk, 109 kilograms, that's a world record. You put 2 world records together, obviously, you're going to total a world record of 196 kilograms.
She's the only lifter to set world records because they have to exceed the world standard, right? Now, when the bodyweight categories were introduced, going on 6 years ago, the new ones, world standards were set, and it was basically, hey, you have to eclipse this in order to set a world record, right? So if someone couldn't just take the first lift in an international competition, I'd like claim a world record right after those bodyweight categories were introduced. It was a way to just like make world records like mean something and make sure they meant something. Well, she's the only one to actually do that in this bodyweight category in either the snatch, the clean and jerk, or the total, right? Outstanding performance, commanding performance. Here's the thing. She doesn't have the lengthiest international pedigree because as a member of Team North Korea, we don't see her competing that often. Frankly, we don't see North Korea competing that often, especially around the pandemic and some doping positives that they dealt with as a team. So every weightlifter from North Korea basically right now is mysterious. We don't know what kind of team they're going to show up with, and we don't know what kind of results we're going to see. However, so far, they've competed twice in the last, call it like 4 months at the international level. The results have been stellar.
Yeah.
They've been showing up and kicking butt on the platform.
David, I know we talked about this last time we covered them when they competed, but going into the Paris Olympic Games where North Korea is not going to be represented in weightlifting, do we have to cover weightlifting when, like right now, it is still expected that China in the weight categories that are competing at the Olympics, that they are still going to be the team to beat? That doesn't look like it's going to change. They're going to top the podium. But do we have to cover everything through the lens of, but North Korea isn't there and who knows what it would have been if they were? Are we at that point?
That's a great question, Phil. I think I'm going to say no, personally. That's not to take anything away from these lifters. These lifters are phenomenal. First off, the 45 kilo class is not an Olympic bodyweight category. This is not one of the women's weight classes in Paris, right? So like we get to take her off the table. In order to compete in Paris, even if North Korea were qualified, she'd have to move up to 49s, much more competitive bodyweight category, right? Maybe she could do great there, right? We've seen her compete as a 49 on the international stage. I'll get to that in a second. But the thing is, like, North Korea has to, in order to qualify for Paris, like the team has to show up. They have to compete with a certain frequency. They have to earn qualification. That also includes things like, and I hate to say it, doping testing at a certain frequency, right? And we've seen North Korea struggle with that in the past. So it's a different game. It's a longer game. Can you consistently show up, perform, win medals accrue points and placings toward qualification and also pass doping tests, like those are all important measures here. So for me, I'm going to say on this one, no.
Yeah. I think like right now, North Korea has like a lot of this momentum, a lot of hype, because as they're starting to come out and compete, they're doing exceptionally well. But yeah, we're not going to see them on the world stage. But this, I hope that we get to see them in 2028, or at least on the world stage after the Olympic Games more frequently, because they are setting world standards, and I would love to actually see them at the same frequency as the top teams, so we can confidently compare them on the platform as we do our coverage.
I do want to talk real briefly about Won Hyun Sim's international placings, because we've only seen 3 of them throughout her career. Again, when we talk about mysterious weightlifters out of North Korea, it's because we don't know much more about them beyond what we see on the international platform. Sim's only had 3 IWF recognized competition appearances. The 2019 Asian Youth Championship, she did compete as a 49 kilo lifter, and she won. The 2023 IWF Grand Prix number 2, she competed in the 45 kilos and won. Prior to this, the 2024 Asian Championships, where she got first. Now, a quick reminder, China was not at this year's Asian Championships. They pulled out. North Korea had a field day racking up medals, and she gets her second international gold of 2024, right? But we won't see her get a third in Paris, at least. So interesting setting in the world of weightlifting. You know, where do we put North Korea in the context of all of this? But I think you asked great questions, Phil. I just want to point out here that when it comes to like how we're talking about North Korea and talking about them not being in Paris and what implications that has, those are just my personal opinions. When Phil asked me, I just want to be clear, folks, those are just my personal opinions. Phil, what is your favorite muscle group to train? My last question for you today.
I'm a sucker for any kind of row. I don't know why. I always have an affinity for training back. I get that like you can train back more often, or at least I am able to train back more often just because there are more muscles in your back. But I love back training more than anything else. I really don't like leg training, although I always feel great afterwards. Don't like legs, but I will still train them. But I love training back.
Phil Blackman bringing you the real hard truths. Phil, thanks so much for this. I always have a great day. This is really the highlight of my week. It's always downhill from here. We record these early in the week. For Barbend.com, I'm David Thomas Tao, joined by Phil Blackman. Thanks for tuning in, folks.